Hi, this is Zara. Apologies, I'm in the same topic as previous. Alright, I'll give you a nice view of it. Voila! It's Buff Boy. Yes, so I'm still in the same outfit because I'm basically just filming these all on the same day. So with the final video of this series, I'm going to basically be talking about what the other Ciels should be called and just looking at the second sons in general and like what their names were. Before I begin, I did find the list making very tedious and very awful. Like it was worse than the first time round when I made all the lists. I don't know. But the table thing was pretty painful this time round when I was trying to do it. I used a website called The Peerage, which was really helpful. It was like an internet archive thing, the noble names, and it had a lot of information about second sons, which was fucking helpful because you can never find anything about second sons. You know, everyone wants to know about the first son, not the second one. I also used Wikipedia again and Wikitree. Basically used all of this information to try and work out everything. So it's likely still not 100% accurate. I could have easily missed someone. I could have got a name wrong. Yes, I could have actually called a second son who was actually a third son or something like that if I didn't look properly. But you know, I think I did decently with it. In identifying second sons and second-born brothers of earls, I had to go back to the previous list and work through each of the earls and identify who their brothers were, and then find the second son, then took a note of their name. I then also took a note of when they were born and when they died, their connection to the earls, and the number of children they had, and then I sorted it into boys and girls. Out of 13 of the 51 second-born sons I found that were within the 1800s, I found 13 out of the 51 second-born sons actually became earls themselves, which is just over a quarter of them. Similar to the first-born sons, a lot of the second-born sons did not have children. 55% of the second-born sons did not have children, in comparison to 23% of first-born sons. So you can see there's like been a dramatic increase. It's like over double now. You know, it's just ridiculous. The second-born sons obviously had a lot less financial security because they didn't have a fucking earldom to grab. That's likely why they didn't have as many kids. Also, it's important to remember that if they wanted to marry, they would need to pay a dowry, which was very expensive for someone who didn't have any money. And also, if a second-born son wanted to marry well, that dowry would be very pricey. You know, they'd be expected to marry another noblewoman or someone of their equal class. If they weren't able to, then they just couldn't get married, basically. I thought it was interesting also to compare those who became earls against those who didn't and see how the birth rate changed between them. Second-born sons who became earls, on average, had 2 more children than those without. The highest number of children a second-born son without an earldom has is 7, whilst second-born sons with an earldom, the highest number is 10 children that they've had. Also, the second-born sons that are earls who have no children, that is 23% of them, in comparison to second-born sons with no earldom and no children, that is 66%. So that is a significant change. Like 23% of second-born sons that have an earldom that's the same rate as first-born sons who have an earldom as well. Whereas if they're not going to get the earldom, they just make sure they don't have kids, basically. I was very surprised by the percentage of second-born sons and earls who have no children is the same. I would expect second-born sons who became earls to have a higher percentage of no children because they didn't expect to become an earl. So, if we look at this in relation to the 2 Ciels, we find that they both have an equal chance of not producing offspring, basically. We already know that the real Ciel, the older twin, is unlikely going to be able to reproduce because he's a bizarre doll. He's basically already dead, but the body's continuing to move. It hasn't been mentioned how long the real Ciel can survive in this state, and it's not really made clear if he can reproduce. He needs a constant supply of blood to keep his body moving. However, it has been mentioned he's blood type Sirius, which is AB, and it's also very rare. It's only 2% of people in the manga seem to have this blood type, and they seem to be killing all these people to get the blood, which is not a very good idea because they're taking too much blood. And this blood then needs to go through a blood transfusion that has a very low success rate in itself. So basically, they're wasting a load of the blood. They're then killing the people that are the hosts for this blood, and then this blood is getting wasted, and so it seems like the real Ciel will die very soon if you can't find any more blood. There's also The other Ciel is taking mantles to dismantle the real Ciel's blood collection operations, and he's been sending out a staff basically to dismantle it. Mei Rin and Ren Mao have recently located their first one at Heathfield Manor in volume 29. They've basically made sure that it's been dismantled and everything. And in volume 30, Bald, Roy and Lau are meant to be going to the sanatorium to take down an operation as well. And it looks like in the future Sebastian will also be taking one down too. In the future, the real Ciel will likely run out of blood at some point, and then that will allow other Ciel to get his earldom back because he's bloody dead. Although the other Ciel is currently a second-born son with no earldom, in the future it's likely he's going to regain it, basically, or his children, if he has any. Hence, it makes sense that he would have children in the future to ensure the continuation of the family's earldom. 23% of second-born sons who are earls had 4 children. Consequently, it would make it sense if he had that many children, basically. Considering he is someone who's very proud of his family and his earldom, it makes sense for him to secure it before his soul's taken away by Sebastian. Of course, Sebastian might actually take it away beforehand, and then he just might end up overmarrying. Then the earldom would just get passed to their cousin Edward Midford. And then Edward's got this problem, I also took note of the second-born sons' names and looked to see if they were used in the family regularly. I didn't really know how to look for this properly. I think I might have failed in this area. I found it a lot harder than the firstborn sons, because with the firstborn sons you can just look at the other earls previously, whereas the second-born sons you really need to look at all the other second-born sons that have been before. And then also look at all the other sons that everyone's had. And then when do you stop? Do you look at their sons as well, and then try and work out whether they're named after their cousins? I don't know. I just didn't know where to stop with it. So I was like, okay, we'll just look at the main earls, see whether they got the same name. Yeah, so I don't think I did it very well. I found that about 71% of 51 cases did not have family names. Yeah, so I think I might have screwed up somewhere, because I feel like it should have been much higher than that. But I'm not fully sure, because I've never looked at second sons before that much. So I don't know. I don't know what the average is meant to be. I noticed there were several cases where a second son did have a family name, and it was either because the elder son had already died young, or all of the sons had the same first name, identical to the father, with a middle name to basically identify them. For example, Henry Pelham Clinton, the 13th Earl of Lincoln, called both of his sons Henry, and he just gave a second name to basically differentiate them. It's also possible the father had no role in this, choosing that other sons have the same name. The second-born son might have wished to commemorate the brother, or wished to just continue the family's traditions, so changed his name. To be honest, the father might have also just chosen to give them all the same name, just because he was aware of the tuberculosis outbreaks at the time, and was aware that any of his children could die at any point. So, if you call them all Henry, then you've got no problem of your name being passed down in tradition. So when we look at the other Ciel, we don't know much about his family history, and we don't know his actual name either. Actually trying to work out what his name is very difficult. It will likely be told in the future. I hope it will be, because I'm sick of calling real Ciel and other Ciel. It's just so fucking annoying. After looking at the family names, I looked at popular names and compared it against the list. And I was surprised to find that only 7 of the names out of 51 were not popular names. In the list of the 7 names, there is 2 of them that we previously discussed, Murray and Aldred, both who became earls, and their names were already linked with their father's occupations. The 5 other names, Grelville, Everard, Albemarle, Derrick, and Hastings, all of them have names that basically connect them to the Roman conquest, or to the Anglo-Saxon England. Greville is an Old French origin. It's seen as an aristocratic surname, originating from Greville in Normandy. Everard is of Old English origin, meaning brave, strong boar. Albemarle is Latin for white marl, marl is a type of fertile soil. The name is also an earldom in England, which was created in 1081, so I think he's probably linking his name back to that. Derrick means ruler of the people in Old Germanic. Finally, Hastings is likely to connect him basically back to the Battle of Hastings that was fought in 1066. Interestingly, the names Murray and Aldred also kind of link back to the origins of the family, basically. Murray is likely to be named after Andrew Moray, who joined William Wallace in the fight for Scottish independence. who was successful at the Battle of Stirling Bridge in September 1297. After this, he was appointed the Guardian of Scotland with William Wallace until the defeat at the Battle of Falkirk in August 1305. Aldred, by comparison, was a name revived in 19th century, which was previously common around the Norman Conquest time. So we don't know much about the origin of the Phantom Hive family. So the other Ciels name could reveal more into their family's history, which I thought would be really interesting. The choice of names could also connect back to the Roman conquest, which I thought would be a really interesting choice for the younger twins' real name. As the watchdogs of Queen Victoria, it would make sense for his name to be connected with someone who helped William the Conqueror majorly during his conquest. And I thought it would be cool to look at the Bayeux tapestry for this, to kind of get some answers and suggest who really helped William the Conqueror during his conquest. One of the people I thought would be quite interesting would be Odo. Odo was the Bishop of Bayeux and half-brother of William. He was awarded the earldom of Kent, but lost it when he was exiled. Although he was later forgiven, he never got the earldom back. Odo in Old Germanic means possessor of wealth. I think that would be interesting for the other Ciel to have that name, because, I don't know, he's kind of greedy, to be honest. Yeah, and I feel like the idea of him accumulating a lot of wealth, which he could use to his advantage, is quite... Like, that would really suit him, basically, because he seems to think that wealth and power get him everything. And another possible name shown on the tapestry is Robert. Robert is the other half-brother of William. So Odo's one of them, Robert's the other, and he supports him in his bid to gain England. He is considered one of William's greatest supporters, although he's not judged well by chroniclers, who often say he was very stupid. Robert had one son and 3 daughters, so that would be quite interesting if the Phantom Hive family actually originated from, like, one of the female lines of Robert. You know, you're just making up the history at this point, but, you know. I know I'd sit there and be like, well, this isn't historically correct, and this isn't historically correct. I'd probably just be ending up complaining more, but I think it'd be really interesting, because one of his daughters, Emma, is the ancestor of Eleanor of Aquitaine, who was one of the most politically shrewd women, one of the best people that lived in the 12th century, and was wife to Henry II. She was also, before Henry II, she was married to King Louis VII of France. And so she married 2 different kings. She only had 2 daughters with King Louis, and King Louis decided to just get annulment because he was sick of having girls, and he wanted a boy instead. And then when she got married to Henry II, she had loads of boys, and it was a great story. I really like Eleanor of Aquitaine. I think it would be really interesting if Ciel was actually related to Eleanor of Aquitaine. I think it could make like a really interesting thing. And also the fact that Robert helped William the Conqueror. It was literally the king's watchdog then. Furthermore, the name Robert is actually popular during Victorian period, which works really well. The name originates from Old Germanic, and it means bright flame. I think, you know, you could use bright flame to suggest, like, the other Ciel is passionate and everything. A flame is symbolic of life, and I think other Ciel is, as the only one bloody living in his family, still fucking alive after everything that he's gone through. Like, call him Robert. I know he doesn't look like a Robert. He definitely does not look like a Robert. Because he doesn't even look fucking English, I have to admit. Like, the way they've drawn him, he still looks Japanese, basically. And it just annoys me so badly. I'm just sat there, I'm like, he's got black and blue hair. Like, what the fuck? You don't have black and blue hair here. You have brown hair. That's the most common hair colour here. Anyway, I'm going to get onto this in a different video because it annoys me so badly. I know he definitely doesn't look like a Robert. It's just, like, it makes sense from a historical point of view that it might be Robert. It's a popular name at the time. It's got great links back to Norman Conquest. It makes sense. That should be his name. And then also, other Ciel should be just changed to Vincent. I don't understand why they called him Ciel. What do you think of the name Robert then for him? I know he doesn't look like it. It definitely doesn't look like a Robert. Definitely doesn't. It would be a suitable name for him, basically, from the historical point of view. But this is my research done for the Ciels. It's been a long journey. I've got another load of script done for, like, talking about the other characters in Black Butler and how historically accurate their names are. It's like 20 pages of notes, so it's going to be a fuck ton of videos. A fuck ton. Yes, I hope you enjoy and have a great day. Take care. Goodbye.